In the quiet, sun-dappled heart of Whispering Woods, nestled amongst the roots of an ancient oak, lay the tiny village of Mouston. Here, life was simple and sweet, filled with the scent of wildflowers and the busy hum of tiny paws. But a shadow had fallen over their peaceful home. A strange sickness, a deep and wearying slumber, had befallen the elder mice, including the wisest of them all, Elder Thistlewick. The village healer had tried every remedy, but nothing could stir them from their endless sleep. A hush fell over Mouston. The usual cheerful squeaks were replaced by worried whispers. Among the concerned villagers was a young mouse named Pip. He was small, even for a mouse, with ears a little too big for his head, and a heart full of courage that far outsized his frame. He couldn't bear to see his grandfather, Elder Thistlewick, fading away. He remembered the old stories his grandfather used to tell, tales of a magical place beyond the Whispering Woods, a sun-kissed clearing where sun-kissed berries grew. These berries, the legends said, held the warmth of 1,000 sunrises and could cure any ailment. While the other mice huddled together, lost in their sorrow, Pip made a decision. He would not wait for a miracle. He would go and find one. That night, under the soft glow of the moon, he packed a small satchel with a crumb of cheese, a single acorn for luck, and a tiny hand-drawn map passed down from his grandfather, a map that supposedly led to the mythical sun-kissed clearing. He looked back at his quiet home one last time, took a deep breath, and slipped out into the vast unknown world. The Whispering Woods lived up to its name. The trees seemed to murmur secrets to each other, their leaves rustling like hushed voices. For a small mouse like Pip, every shadow seemed to stretch into a lurking monster, and every snapping twig sounded like a giant's footstep. His heart pounded in his chest, but he clutched the acorn in his pocket and thought of his grandfather. That thought was a warm light that pushed back the darkness. His first real challenge came at dawn. He reached a chattering stream, far too wide and fast for him to cross. While he was pondering his next move, a grumpy-looking frog with big bulging eyes croaked from a lily pad. "Lost, little one?" The frog grumbled, his voice a low rumble. Pip, though startled, explained his desperate quest. The frog, whose name was Barnaby, scoffed at first. "Sun-kissed berries! A fool's errand!" But as he listened to Pip's earnest plea, something in the old frog's heart softened. All right, he sighed. "The current is too strong. But if you can bring me the shiniest, roundest pebble from the stream bank, I will help you cross." Finding the perfect pebble was harder than it sounded. Pip scurried along the bank, his sharp eyes scanning hundreds of stones. Finally, he found a pebble so smooth and glossy, it looked like a drop of solidified moonlight. He rolled the surprisingly heavy stone to Barnaby, who inspected it with a critical eye before giving a satisfied nod. True to his word, Barnaby instructed Pip to climb onto a large, sturdy leaf. With a mighty push from his powerful legs, Barnaby sent the leaf sailing across the water, carrying Pip safely to the other side. Pip waved his thanks, his spirit lifted by his first success. As he journeyed deeper, the woods grew thicker, and the path on his map harder to follow. He soon found himself in a tangled maze of thorny brambles. He tried to push through, but the thorns snagged his fur and pricked his paws. He was about to give up when he heard a faint, melodious humming. Following the sound, he discovered a hummingbird, her iridescent feathers shimmering in a stray sunbeam. She was caught by her leg in a sticky spider's web. "Please help me," she chirped, her tiny heart beating frantically. Pip, forgetting his own troubles, immediately set to work. With his sharp teeth, he carefully gnawed through the thick strands of the web, one by one, until the hummingbird, whose name was Zinnia, was free. She buzzed around his head in a flurry of gratitude. "You saved me! How can I ever repay you?" When Pip showed her the thorny maze blocking his path, Zinnia smiled. "That's no trouble at all," she hummed. "Follow me." She zipped high into the air, her keen eyes spotting a clear path through the labyrinth of thorns from above. She would fly ahead, then hover and chirp, guiding Pip through the twists and turns until he emerged, scratched but triumphant, on the other side. Pip realized that every act of kindness he showed was being returned in ways he never expected. His journey was far from over. The map led him to the base of the Greycliff Peaks, a series of towering rocks that seemed to touch the sky. There was no way around them. He would have to climb. The climb was perilous. The wind howled, trying to tear him from the rock face, and loose stones crumbled beneath his paws. He was exhausted, his muscles ached, and for the first time, doubt crept into his heart. Could a mouse so small really accomplish something so big? Just as he was about to lose his grip, he felt a gentle nudge. He looked up to see a wise old owl with feathers the color of twilight and eyes like golden coins. "A long way from home, little mouse," the owl hooted softly. His name was Professor Hoot, and he had been watching Pip's brave ascent. Pip confessed his fears, his voice trembling with exhaustion. The owl listened patiently. "Courage is not the absence of fear," Professor Hoot said wisely. "It is taking the next step, even when you are afraid. Look how far you have come. The peak is just a little further." Inspired by the owl's words, Pip found a new reserve of strength. Professor Hoot showed him safer handholds and pointed out stable ledges he had missed, guiding him step by step. With renewed determination, Pip pulled himself over the final ledge and stood panting. At the very top of the Greycliff Peaks, before him, nestled in a hidden valley on the other side of the peaks, was a sight that took his breath away. It was a clearing bathed in a golden light so pure and warm it felt like stepping into a dream. In the center of the clearing grew a cluster of bushes, laden with berries that glowed with a soft internal light. The sun-kissed clearing. He had found it. Pip scrambled down into the valley, his heart soaring. He gently plucked the ripest, most radiant berries, their warmth spreading through his paws. He carefully placed them in a special pouch within his satchel, his task finally complete. The journey back was just as long, but it felt different. Pip walked with a new confidence. The whispering woods no longer seemed menacing, but familiar. He greeted Barnaby at the stream, and Zinnia amongst the flowers, his new friends cheering him on his way. He arrived back in Mouston just as the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the village. He raced to his grandfather's side. The elder was pale and still, his breathing shallow. With trembling paws, Pip gently squeezed the juice of a single sun-kissed berry into his grandfather's mouth. For a moment, nothing happened. Pip held his breath, his heart aching with hope and fear. Then, a faint warmth returned to Elder Thistlewick's cheeks. His whiskers twitched. Slowly, his eyes fluttered open. "Pip?" he whispered, his voice weak but clear. "My brave boy." A wave of relief and joy washed over Pip, so powerful it brought tears to his eyes. One by one, he gave the berries to the other sleeping elders, and one by one, they awoke, rubbing their eyes as if from a long, dreamless sleep. The entire village of Mouston erupted in celebration. There was music and dancing and a feast bigger than any they had ever known. Pip, the small mouse with the oversized ears, was hailed as a hero. But as he sat beside his smiling grandfather, Pip knew the truth. It wasn't just his courage that had saved them. It was the kindness of a grumpy frog, a grateful hummingbird, and a wise old owl. He learned that the biggest adventures aren't just about the destination, but about the friends you make along the way, and that even the smallest mouse can make a world of difference when their heart is full of love. Thank you so much for watching Pip's incredible adventure with us today. If you love this story, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next tale. We'll see you again soon.